Hello, 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 and welcome to the Lion's Heart Podcast, a man's guide for mental and emotional navigation. I am super excited to be in front of you today, and we're looking to talk about a super informative, transformative, and necessary topic: your identity. In this episode, we will be discussing everything about what it takes and why it's important for us as men to know who we are, what we are, and what direction we are headed before we engage and bring on different things. We will be focusing on discovering identity. I'm going to give you 5 key takeaways because I'm not going to send you out here unprepared for the fight of your life. 5 key takeaways, research-based information, and real, honest, and transformative conversation. The Lion's Heart Podcast. Let's get into it.
Like we define the fair, yeah. I know you needed me to be better. Supposed to be raised off of love, but survival.
Once you have a conversation with somebody and you introduce them to a different reality, the mentality changes.
Now look, I cried when I wrote this song, cause I feel I do right, just to right my wrongs.
The first reason is your identity defines your values. And I'm going to say that again, your identity defines your values. Before adopting new roles, knowing your core values give you identity and purpose. So an example of that is like this. If you say that you are a loving man, everything that you align yourself with, you should preference it with being loving. So you shouldn't be involved with people who don't move lovingly. You shouldn't be involved with places or organizations, or you shouldn't speak in a way that's not loving. If you don't have this figured out, you'll get in new environments and you'll constantly adapt to the environments of the people, and you'll never really grow who you are. Now, this is not to say that being able to flow in different spaces isn't important, but it is to say, as a leader, as a husband, as a father, whatever it is that you stand for, being able to stand on those principles will always help you get to where you need to get to. And listen, there's also research that shows people with clear values experience greater life satisfaction. This is actually a study. It was published by the Journal of Positive Psychology. So they sat down and had individuals figure out that people with clear values live more happy and fulfilling lives. And the reason for this is because they're not just out there just doing anything. There's purpose. They understand how they feel and what matters to them, and they go out and execute. So if anything, the takeaway from reason number 1 would be this: define your boundaries. Define life's non-negotiables. And then you'll live a more fulfilling and rest-filled experience. Everything from who you date to where you go to how you speak to what comes in your space will be based off of your values, not by chance, not by luck. Not by chance, not by luck. Greatness is not a lucky thing that happens. It's an intentional act. It's work. It's commitment to a goal, to a process, and to an identity. Nothing about it is lucky. You are blessed, and then you maintain through consistent efforts and movements. That's the blessing, the ability to figure out that's how you got to be. Reason number 2, preventing role-based burnout. This one is huge, preventing role-based burnout. Listen, y'all, without a firm sense of who you are, it's easy to lose yourself in everything. And I'm sure many of us can relate to this. You got to be a father, and you're doing fatherly duties. Everything is about, you got to do this, you got to go here, you got to do that. And now you're a husband. Add that on top of that. As a husband, you got to make sure your lady's okay because you want her to be good. That actually matters to you. You got your mom you got to worry about. You got your job you got to worry about. You got this, that. You're all over the place, right? And you're burnt out because of a role. And the crazy part about it is, with all that stuff that you're doing, you still haven't addressed you. Let me explain something to you. You cannot pour into anyone else with your cup on empty. You cannot pour into anyone else with your cup on empty. I want you to research something called Daring Greatly. When you get the chance, I want you to look up something called Daring Greatly by Dr. B. Brown, right? Dr. Brown talks about everything that I just mentioned, putting yourself in a position where you start to identify with the roles that life gives you and you lose yourself. And let me say something to you. There's nothing more painful to witness than a man who's lost himself trying to please everyone else. There is no gratification in doing that. The world will try to tell you that there is, and there isn't, because it's this weird self-sacrificing thing where you're expected to give up everything. You give up everything, and then when you're broken, you're no longer viewed as necessary or welcomed or loved because you're operating out of a deficiency. Oh, how you going to help us if you broken? While breaking yourself, helping the people who were broken. So you have to prioritize yourself and your development along that way, or you'll constantly be faced with these type of situations. So here's the takeaway from all of that. Balance your roles with your boundaries and with your values. Not what somebody is telling you you have to do, not what society told you you have to behave like. Balance your roles based off of your non-negotiables and your values, because those are the two things that's going to help you align with the direction you're headed in. Reason number 3, authentic relationships require authenticity. Say that slow. Authentic relationships require authenticity. You cannot show up for others if you are unclear about who you are. A father who values creativity but struggles to express it will have a hard time encouraging the importance of creativity to their children. Say you're a musical genius. You're incredible when it comes to writing and creating and doing all of these amazing things, but the grind of life and people telling you ain't got time for that, they speak all of these different things over you, and now you suppress it. And then here comes your kid, here comes your wife, here comes a friend that's talking to you about creative things, that's talking to you about a creative spirit that lives within them. How are you going to give them advice about pursuing something that you're not doing? Authentic relationships requires authenticity. You look better saying you're struggling trying to put that in place, but you know it's necessary, than trying to give them advice about why it matters when it doesn't even matter enough for you to create space for it in your own life. Let me ask you this, and I want you to be honest. If you need to pause the video right here for a second to really think about what I'm talking about, do so. How often in life are you wearing masks to accommodate roles instead of being genuine to yourself? Just think about it for a second. And so if there's a takeaway I can give you for this, is this. Authenticity will build trust not only with others, but with yourself. If you're able to be honest with yourself, you're able to trust the direction that you're going in. As long as you keep lying about what it is that you desire, what it is that you're doing, and how much you're willing to sacrifice for it. You got to be honest with yourself. If there's a thing that you're going after, what have you done to actually chase after that thing as of late? Being honest with yourself in order to get there. Authenticity is required. Your authentic self is enough. Don't let the world, don't let people change your viewpoint on that. Your authentic self is enough. Just be you.
Hey there, listeners. Are you ready to unleash your inner lion and embark on a transformative journey? Let me introduce you to the Lion's Heart Mental and Emotional Navigation by me, Tuwan Spencer. This isn't just a book. It's a 31-day guide crafted to help men set daily goals and incorporate mindfulness, social, emotional, spiritual, and wellness practices into their daily lives. Each day offers practical steps to strengthen your mental resilience, enhance your emotional intelligence, deepen your spiritual connection, and improve your overall wellness. Imagine transforming your life, becoming the best version of you, and truly embodying the heart of a lion. Are you ready to take that first step? The Lion's Heart is available now, yes, right now on Amazon. Don't just read, ignite a movement within yourself.
Most favorite reasons. Reason number 4, identity is key to resilience. I love that word. There's something about the word resilience that gets me going. Identity is key to resilience. Reason number 4. Adversity will test you in every role that you adopt, but resilience will be the thing that helps you bounce back. I say this all the time. Adversity is your greatest resource. You become who you are based off of what you've endured and overcame. That's just the key element for everybody living life. Here's a very real example for you. Losing your job does not mean that you lost your identity as a man. And if you get into this space where you're losing things and now you feel like you're less than, you've adopted a mentality that's allowed what you have to be how you define who you are. And the reason that that's dangerous is because the things you have are not guaranteed to be here forever. Not the job, not the girl, not the car. So once you start tying those things into who you are as an individual, and I mean it even from a safe space, not something that is easy for us to become callous to, even our children, right? The goal is to raise them to be able to go out and do the things necessary for them to turn into who they're designed to be. they're going to leave the nest. So if your identity is solely based on the children, when they leave, who are you? This is why so many different people, they go through this phase where their children move on with their lives and now they're lost because they were making who they were about their children. Instead of raising the children to be themselves, they was keeping them there, and it was their excuse or their reason for being who they were. They didn't have an identity. Their identity was someone else's. So here's the takeaway. Build resilience by knowing who you are, regardless of what may be happening around you. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build character. No matter what the external factors are, figure out who you are and build your resilience around that. Overcome being you, not being what everybody wants you to. And reason number 5 is this: legacy starts with your identity. Legacy starts with your identity. The roles that you adopt contribute to your legacy, but the actual overall impact of your legacy will be the stories that you leave behind. Think about it like this. What do you want people to say about you? Not just the roles that you adopted. Not just the roles that you adopted. If you weren't a father, if you weren't a CEO, if you weren't the best foreman, if you weren't the best brother, the best father, the best uncle, the best, all of these other things that get adopted to you, the best basketball player, the best rapper, if you weren't any of these things, who are you? Who are you actually if you didn't have those titles associated to your overall development? Your identity is the foundation of the lessons that you will pass on. And here's the thing, when we speak on legacy, a well-defined legacy will speak volumes for you, even as you remain silent, even as you're no longer here in front of those people. Who you were, not just what you did, is what will leave the impact. And that's the thing that we got to understand. We talk about legacy and we talk about external things that we don't need to have. I know plenty of great men that don't own their own businesses. They may not be doing what I want to do. They may not be doing what you want to do. They might be right up in your alley. But who they are at their core is one of the most beautiful things to see in any person. It's when you meet a judge that moves with love, it navigates in such a way that you don't even recognize that they're a judge when they're doing what they're doing. It don't even matter. It don't even matter. The character shines so bright that it doesn't even matter what they do. They could have been a judge. They could have been a farmer. They could have been a police officer. It doesn't matter. The way that they carry themselves put you in such a place of awe, such a place of calmness, that their legacy becomes associated with that. Everything else they're doing is extra. There's a takeaway for you. Everything else you're doing right now is extra. If you do none of those things, you're still great. You need to understand that your identity is not built on external factors. It's not. And you have to have that understanding with yourself. You have to come into alignment. Hey, I'm amazing because I'm amazing, not just because of the amazing things I do. So as we wrap this up, I want you to reflect on some things. First, who were you before the roles? Before life gave you responsibilities, who were you actually? What values define you, and how do you want to show up in the world? So I got a challenge for you. I'm going to try to leave you with one at the end of every video. Spend 15 minutes a day, whether it's in journaling or meditation. Who am I at my core? I want you to spend 15 minutes today thinking about that. I don't care if you got to go somewhere by yourself, if you got to go sit in the car, but for 15 minutes, who are you at your core? That's the assignment. And that's it, man. I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in today, subscribe, to like. And man, remember, your identity is important and it's worth taking time to figure out. I want to leave you with this. That roar of yours, it begins inside. This was another episode of the Lion's Heart Podcast. I am your host, Tuwan Spencer. And until next time, y'all, be love, be light, and be blessed. Peace.